Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas from great books. Today, we're jumping into a fantastic chapter from Morgan Housel's The Psychology of Money to really get to the bottom of one of the most destructive forces in finance. So let's kick things off with a huge puzzle, one that has caused people literally trillions of dollars over the centuries: financial bubbles.
I mean, really think about it. We've seen them again and again. The dot-com stocks in the 90s, the housing market in the 2000s. They inflate, they get crazy, and then they spectacularly pop. We know how the story ends, but we seem to fall for it every single time. What is going on?
And look, the stakes here are just unbelievably high. $8 trillion. That is how much wealth vanished, poof, in the US housing bubble alone. And that's not just some abstract number, right? That's people's retirements, their life savings completely wiped out. Now, the easy answer is to just say, oh, it's greed. And sure, greed is definitely part of the mix. But that's not the whole story. The real reason is actually way more subtle, and honestly, a lot more interesting. So, drawing from chapter 16 of the book, let's dig into the hidden force that's really driving all of this. The core idea, the whole thing in a nutshell, is this. We almost never realize that different investors, even when they're buying the very same thing, are not playing the same game.
And this, right here, is the key insight. The idea that any stock or house or anything has one single rational price is a total myth. Why? Because the right price for you depends completely on your goals and your timeline.
Okay, let's break this table down because it makes the idea crystal clear. If you're investing for retirement 30 years from now, you care about Google's profits over the next few decades. But a day trader, they could not care less about that. They just need the stock to tick up a little bit before lunch. So is one of them being irrational? Nope. They are just playing completely different games with different rules and totally different ways of keeping score.
And this quote from the book just nails it. A price that looks absolutely insane to a long-term investor can seem perfectly logical to a short-term trader. You can have two smart, rational people looking at the same stock and coming to wildly different conclusions about its price. And both of them can be right for their own game. So how does this actually cause a bubble? Well, the real danger, the real damage, happens when these different games start to overlap and collide, when investors start taking their cues from people who are not playing their game at all. Let's take a look at the dot-com bubble back in the late 90s. The entire market just got completely taken over by short-term thinking. It was all about momentum, which pulled in more and more people trying to get rich quick. You see, a day trader buying Yahoo's stock in 1999 wasn't being irrational. They were just playing a much, much faster game. Their question wasn't about the company's 30-year future. It was, can I sell this for more than I paid in the next hour? And for a long time, the answer was a resounding yes. And believe it or not, the exact same thing happened just a few years later with the housing bubble. It was the same dynamic, just a different asset. Now, check out this chart. What's so fascinating here is the absolute explosion in house flippers. A flipper isn't playing the long-term I need a place to live game. They're a short-term trader. And you can see the number of them more than tripled at the peak of the madness. They were playing a totally different game.
For the flipper, they didn't care about school districts or what the rent could be. Their entire game was just pure momentum. And as long as prices kept rocketing up, their bets, which looked insane to a traditional home buyer, were perfectly rational for the game they were playing.
And right here, this is where it all goes wrong. This is the start of the disaster. You, as a long-term homebuyer, you see prices soaring, you see flippers making a fortune, and that little voice in your head starts to say, wow, maybe they know something I don't. And you forget that their game is not your game. You get sucked into paying a short-term trader's price for a long-term asset. That is the very heart of a bubble. Okay, so let's bring this idea out of the huge, crazy markets and apply it directly to your own life, because this is where it gets really personal. This isn't just about trying to avoid the next stock market crash. This principle applies to how you think about and spend your money every single day.
We're all constantly being influenced by what we see other people buying, right? We see the fancy car, the big house, the amazing vacation photos. But we're only seeing the purchase. We have no idea what their game plan is. You know, a lawyer buying a super expensive suit might see that as a crucial investment to make partner at her firm. But if you're a writer who works from home and you buy that same suit just to keep up, you're playing her game, not yours. And that is a recipe for financial frustration.
So the big actionable takeaway from all of this is to just stop. Take a breath and consciously, deliberately define the game that you are playing.
It sounds simple, but this is an incredibly powerful exercise. Actually take the time to identify your own financial game. What are your real goals? Are you saving for a house in 5 years or retirement in 40? Write it down. Create a personal financial mission statement. This thing becomes your shield, your filter against all the noise from everyone else playing a different game.
The author, Morgan Housel, gives his own mission statement, and it's a perfect example. It's so clear, it's long-term, and it immediately tells him what he can ignore. That cable news segment about what the market's going to do next month, not his game. A friend bragging about day trading some meme stock, not his game. That kind of clarity is a financial superpower.
And that brings us to you, to the big question. What is your financial mission statement? What game are you actually playing? I really want you to take a minute and think about it. Writing it down makes it real. We would absolutely love it if you'd share the game you're playing down in the comments. Let's start a conversation and see what missions we can all learn from.
If you found this useful, if it gave you a new way to think about money, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more breakdowns of essential ideas just like this one. Thanks so much for watching.